What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Early Edge. A very happy Wednesday. I like to see Mike McClure is in the chat. Go ahead and ask away any questions you got. But again, welcome to the Early Edge, brought to you by BetMGM, the sports book born in Vegas. Before we bring in the stars of the show, let's see how we did yesterday. Not our best soccer day. 1 for 2 for Mackenzie Brooks, and she was 1 away from going 2-0 with Jacquel Jones. That one fell on 12. Sniper gets you the plus 146 play, but loses the even money play on Jerks and Profar. 2-4. Obviously, got to do better than that. And we're going to try to do it with the stars of the show. As we bring them in, I just want to remind everybody what Mike McClure put in the chat. College football show today at 1 o'clock Eastern Standard Time on CBS Sports Network. So check that out. It's a great show. We're short one today. So thankfully, we got some people in the chat, and I include all of you, Mark Buckholt, CID, Kylie, Brad Morris, Mark. Put your picks in the chat. But Amags, I'm going to start with you because I know you have some official picks in MLB. But what I'd like to do throughout this show is receive some picks from the chat and just bounce them off you because you are one of our baseball gurus. We got 4 games today, just like yesterday. How you feeling today, buddy?
Oh, I'm feeling great. Yeah, 4 games. Yesterday was super interesting. Happy, in my opinion, to see the Astros go down in that game. So only need one more to knock them off. And then the Padres game is one that I'm going to talk about. That's, another one where only need one more win to knock them off here. It's interesting. So I definitely like it.
Yeah, outside of the Padres, Amags, it looks like there's a lot of value in this round of the playoffs on the dogs. Like when I saw the lines yesterday, I was like, man, these numbers seem a little off. And I don't know how it's going to turn out, but that's kind of my sentiment today as well. Am I missing something or is there maybe extra value on the dogs in this round of the playoffs?
Truthfully, I don't know if there's numbers wise extra value or less value. I will say, I think there was maybe a good bit of value on some of the ones last night, especially that Detroit game. But beyond that, like as you looked at today, I mean, all of these are essentially elimination games. So
yeah,
I think that does come into play. You're going to expend more of the bullpen, right? Like you're going to make some moves that maybe you wouldn't if your back wasn't against the wall. So some more stuff to look at. I do see some props and all this other stuff already running through the chat here on the side. So I know we'll get to some of those picks and strikeout props and whatnot. But I would say today, the one that I was looking at actually was just, if you want value, I think it was plus 130, Padres -1. So you could play the -1.5 if you want to. I saw Sniper on that yesterday, right, for the Padres, but the -1 was kind of interesting. I was looking at it plus 130. You're going to push if they win by a run. Yeah. But Max Fried on the other side just maybe worries me too much to take the 1.5 for the home team. So I was thinking, hey, maybe -1, you're still plus 130. If you win by 1, they push, but that'd be the only one.
All right. Well, Martin Green, there's already soccer questions for you in the chat. And John Parker says, hey, Martin, let's go Phillies. It's Red October. You're rocking the red with, I believe, is that Arsenal Soccer Club? What do we call it? Arsenal something, right?
That's correct, Sia. Yes, good spot. It's Arsenal Football Club, Arsenal FC. We call soccer football over here.
Yeah, that's on me. I almost had it, Martin. I almost had it. All right. Well, Martin, let's start with soccer. You got a couple of plays. Clarify whether both of these plays are today, but I know you got 2, so you got the floor.
Sure. I had a very relaxed evening yesterday because it was I had Dortmund -1.5 against Celtic, which seemed quite a bold spread, but they actually ended up winning 7-1. So it was very comfortable, won by a 6-goal margin, which I'm sure happens all the time in baseball, but very rare in soccer. So that was a good one. Hoping to keep it going today. I got one pick for today's Champions League, and it is Monaco to pick up an away win against Dynamo Zagreb. Zagreb's limitations were brutally exposed when they suffered a 9-2 defeat to Bayern Munich on match day 1. That's left them rock bottom of the Champions League table. I think they could be a little low on confidence right now. It was a really, really brutal defeat, possibly a record defeat. Monaco began their campaign with a very impressive 2-1 home win against Barcelona. They have 5 wins and a draw from 6 games in Ligue 1 so far this season. So Monaco are in fine form right now. I really think they should get the better of Dynamo Zagreb. I've gone for Monaco money line at -140. If you want a bit more value, you can combine it with over 1.5 goals, and it will get much closer to plus money. And I just have one pick for tomorrow's slate as well while I'm on the show. I like Real Sociedad of Spain to pick up a win. They look really impressive at the weekend. They beat Valencia 3-0 at home. They've made a bit of a slow start to the season, but I think that victory should raise their confidence levels, and they should be able to pick up another home win. They're taking on a Belgian team, Anderlecht, who aren't in very good form. Anderlecht on a 5-game winless streak in the Belgian Pro League. Doesn't really bode well for their chances against one of Spain's top teams in the Europa League. Real Sociedad are very rarely involved in high-scoring games, so I'm combining Real Sociedad with under 4.5 goals at -105. And happy to answer any questions if anyone's got any picks they want to throw out throughout the show.
Yeah, I've actually got a couple of questions for you, Martin, from Brad Betts and Darian. First, the first question is, Martin, are you surprised as I am about Atletico being even money with Benfica? Or Benfica, excuse me.
I'm not actually that surprised, to be honest, because I just think Benfica are a surprisingly good team. They've got good players, and while Atletico are the better team, they often draw away from home. They're one of those teams that their home stadium is a real fortress and they pick up wins in front of their home fans. And they have a bit of a habit of grinding out draws away from home. So that one was a pass from me. I could leaning towards Atletico, but I can see that one maybe finishing 1-1.
All right. And Darian Mercurio, which is like the coolest name ever, says, Martin Green, how do you feel about Bayern and Aston Villa? Both teams to score over 2.5 or maybe 3.5.
I like that a lot, Darian Mercurio, which I agree is a terrific name. I actually have an article about this game on SportsLine, and yeah, that's one of my picks. Both teams to score an over 2.5 goals. I think both teams should get on the score sheet. I think it will be an open and entertaining game. But I am leaning towards Bayern Munich to win it. I think they could win 2-1, maybe 3-1. But I like that pick a lot. That's something I'm on too.
All right. Well, Martin, why don't you scan the chat as we go through this show for maybe some more soccer picks? We already have a ton of baseball picks in the chat, some of which, Amags, I want to use you as a sounding board for, obviously. Speaking of picks, if you want to make any of these picks, new BetMGM customers can sign up today and get up to $1,500 in bonus bets. Just place your first wager of at least $10 and you'll receive up to $1,500 instantly if your bet loses with bonus code EDGE. That's bonus code EDGE, EDGE. All right, we got to get to a lot of baseball, a little bit of football. Prop Stars isn't here today, but he dropped off a pick, which I'm sure you can find on SportsLine. We're going to hear about it right after this message from our partners.
CBS Sports HQ, giving you college football coverage unlike anyone else.
We're talking Big Ten.
Pre- and post-game coverage.
Are you encouraged with the way that this team responded?
Along with breaking news.
A lot of movement in the rankings this week.
Highlights and expert analysis.
That streak could be in jeopardy here.
Sure. What was your main takeaway from this game? How impressive was his domination?
That really changed the football game.
Let's go ahead and have some more fun.
Another wild ending.
The chaos continues.
Turn to CBS Sports HQ.
We are back on the Early Edge, brought to you by BetMGM, the sports book born in Vegas. Let's talk about a pick from Prop Stars. He likes, and if you're a SportsLine member, you already have this, he likes James Cook over 57.5 rushing yards, and I believe that's at -115. This one makes sense. Joe Brady offenses, I mean, listen, when you throw a blitz at Josh Allen and you go into halftime, apparently we're not going to make any adjustments and we're going to throw 50-50 balls against the Ravens. But one thing Joe Brady knows how to do is give James Cook the ball. So I personally like this play. James Cook over 57.5 rushing yards. But again, this is a play from Prop Stars. If you want to get all his picks or my picks or Amags picks or Martin Green's picks, super easy, folks. Head to sportsline.com/join. You get 60% off the annual plan if you type in the promo code winners. Again, you get all our picks when we make them if you go to sportsline.com/join. And again, type in the promo code winners to get 60% off the annual plan. Okay, so let's talk a little baseball before I give out my pick, Amags, and then we're going to get your official picks. But one thing that stuck out to me, because I know you are kind of the strikeout guru here, Martin, have you patented or have you trademarked that name? I think I can call Amags Guru as well. Zach Eflin over 3.5 Ks at +105. Amags, your thoughts on that one?
Yeah, I don't love it. Honestly, I actually think Zach Eflin might struggle here. So that 3.5, I know it is plus money, but I think there's maybe just better plus money shots to take today. So I did see that one in the chat. And just as I was even kind of looking more into it, I just I like to bet on the guys that I think have more upside. Zach Eflin, last 3-4 starts here, he's either been at that 3 or 4 strikeout range or even down, at 1 strikeout. He did have a game where he went for 5, but I mean, if that's the upside you're looking at, it is a little bit tougher in my opinion. So I think I'd pass on Eflin there.
How about Lindor over 1.5 total bases from Brian Grebbins? Any thoughts there?
Say that again. It kind of broke up when you said that.
Francisco Lindor over 1.5 total bases.
Lindor. Yeah, I saw that. Hey, one of the only guys, that you were probably betting heavily last night that didn't have a hit. Some of the other names that one I'll mention a little later, he did have a hit. So that was, someone that I want to go back to. But Lindor didn't have one. I think tonight, the over 1.5. What I was actually looking at was to attack Montas. I saw somebody else said Mets over 3.5 on the team total. Montas, I was just looking here since the start of August, been getting hit hard, almost 44% of the time, barreled up 10% of the time. He's been walking guys. I was interested in the over 1.5 walks as well, at minus 120. So, Montas is a guy that I think you could attack, and Lindor's, probably one of those you want to use.
All right, well, let's transition. We're going to get back to your baseball picks, Amags, in just a second. But we got a question from Kylie Reynolds, which is pretty appropriate. Nice transition from him. Any golf, Sia? We got the Sanderson Farms Championship this week. It's just like any other tournament, except there's no big names in it. And actually, those are the tournaments where I'm usually pretty successful. So I'm going to start off. I'm going to give you some first-round leaders. I'm going to start off with a round 1 3-ball, though. This one is really, this is a value play more than it is anything. This is not going to hit at a super high rate when you're talking about a plus 180 here. But I like Henrik Norlander. Again, plus 180. You might find this at plus 175 in other places over Maverick McNeely and Martin Laird. I think, listen, this is the type of tournament where all styles are in play. In other words, you can be a short hitter, you can be a long hitter, you can be a good and excel at certain things and still be successful. But here's the thing. Maverick McNeely always carries a lot of weight with him, a lot of value with him. He's a kind of a big name in the market. And I just think he's getting overvalued here, especially when you look at Henrik Norlander. He's a guy that's almost won this tournament twice. I mean, Henrik Norlander has almost won no other tournaments twice except for this one. He's not exactly a primetime player, but he's certainly very comfortable here. And he's been actually hitting the ball really well. The putter is usually where he struggles. Maverick McNeely, the more talented player, no doubt about it. That's why he's the favorite here. But given the recent form and the course experience, I think plus 180 is off. I think this should be like plus 135, maybe plus 130. That doesn't mean it's likely to hit, right? It's a 3-ball with a guy that's plus 180. So maybe you lower your unit size. I'm not going to tell you how to bet. But I mean, I might not put a full unit on this. I might put 0.75 or 0.5 because I'm getting the plus 180 back to me. But give me Henrik Norlander over Maverick McNeely and Martin Laird. This one starts tomorrow morning around 8 o'clock before our show starts. So that's why I'm giving it out right now. And let's just check out my first round leaders. I'll touch on these real quick and then we'll get to Amag's official picks. Nick Dunlap, I've hit him first round leader before, just about 2 months ago. We get him at plus 4,000. Side note, these first two, Nick Dunlap and Patrick Fishburne, I also like as outrights at shorter numbers, mind you, but I like as outrights in this tournament as well. Nick Dunlap, Patrick Fishburne, Rico Hoey at plus 5,500, Andrew Novak at plus 6,600, and there's Henrik Norlander at plus 7,000. Nick Dunlap, Fishburne, Hoey, Novak, Norlander. Those are my first round leaders for the Sanderson Farms Championship. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's move back to baseball as we look in the chat. And Martin, I'm going to go back to you after Amags gives out his picks. I'm going to look for MLB picks as well. But Amags, you've got 2 picks to give out.
Yes, Sia, I do. And I love the discourse in the chat here, just saying, up and down, different things being said here about baseball. And it almost feels like a regular season baseball day with all the questions. So we won't have too many more of these, but we do have the 4 games stacked up. And the one that I went to yesterday, if you read my article, was that Padres game with Michael King starting. And we had some success there on our picks. So I have another article coming out later today. Try to check that out on the SportsLine site. But the 2 here that I'm going to give out, first one, we're going to go with Fernando Tatis Jr., the guy that I mentioned hit the home run last night for the Padres, got them started, really jump-started the entire game for them. And now again here at plus money, I do have to say, if you talk about anyone being a guru, Mike McClure is probably the most appropriate person for that name, not myself. But I have to give him some credit here in the chat. He said something that I've said in some of my write-ups as well, and kind of bringing the unit size back. I've only been going half unit on a lot of the stuff that I've been betting here in either playoffs or even late down the season through September. So another one here with Tatis, I'll probably go half unit. Going overs on any player props, as Mike mentioned, is kind of tough around this time of the year. But again, we have a bunch of people asking, hey, I hear you, but like, what's the home run pick for today? Or I still want to bet somebody. So there's one for you in Fernando Tatis. He was a 300 hitter against lefties last year. Hasn't been the same this year, but I truthfully do think once you get these guys later in the season, they start to get hot and kind of feel it. You know, Max Fried on the other side doesn't inspire a ton of confidence in picking against him, but I still think at plus money, Tatis has a little bit of value here. So over 1.5 on hit run RBI for Tatis. And then again, I mentioned the overs. I'm going to take another over, but let's just take a stab at it here. It's on Joe Musgrove, the hometown kid, to go for a 6th strikeout. We need over 5.5 here. And try to shop around. The number has kind of been fluctuating. I actually got it closer to -120 earlier this morning, up to -130 or so, but it even went to -140, came back a little bit, maybe a little bit of dissension, I guess I would say, in the market on where we want to bet Joe Musgrove. And as you know, Mike mentioned in the chat earlier here, as these pitchers start to, and he mentioned this with Eflin, but like as they start to get through the game, if you have a blow up inning or two, you're usually gone. Like there's not a leash for a lot of these pitchers to get deeper in the game and, oh, he'll figure it out, or let's give him another batter. Like a lot of the time, especially with these teams down 0-1, like it is do or die. If you're not going to perform, you got to get out of here because we have 9 innings to figure this thing out to win a game. We don't have, today and tomorrow, and we'll let you figure it out in the bullpen and whatnot. It's got to be now. So Musgrove, I do like backing him. As I mentioned, the hometown kid here for strong performance tonight. But I have to say, keep it at like half units on a lot of this stuff because one blow up inning here or there really could throw off some of your picks.
Yeah, very good advice. And I'm glad you mentioned Mike McClure because I think he's on the same page with just the hitting environments and the total bases environments too, because he says only overs that he would consider on player props hitters would be guys with above average speed that can stretch a double. That's Tatis and Lindor today if you like Mets Padres. Sage advice from Mike as usual. Amags, real quick on this Mets game. I don't know if you touched on it, but it's almost a coin flip here with Montas and Manaea. What your thoughts on that one? I kind of lean towards maybe a little value on the Mets there, but maybe not.
So I don't love picking, I guess, like just the side if it was like first 5 based upon the pitchers, because I will say, as much as I don't think Montas is great, anything can happen at these points in the season. And Manaea on the other side didn't have a good start against Milwaukee in his final start of the season. So, he very easily could also have some issues here today. And while he's had a great season, he's not someone that I tend to trust or think is all that good. I have to give my, tip of the cap this year. He's performed very well. I think if you wanted to bet something for fun here or just enjoy the game and have something on it, I was going to throw it in my article later, but the walks for Manaea over 1.5, the Montas over 1.5 walks. And if you really wanted to get crazy, like this Milwaukee team has been striking out against lefties. The only guy recently that hasn't struck out a bunch of batters from the left side has been Manaea. Quintana, Peterson, they went for 8 and 9 strikeouts. If you want to get, you're getting plus money on a 6 strikeout and up on a ladder here for Manaea. I think you have a little fun on that, and I don't really want to try to bet most of the game, full game here.
All right, I know there was a comment about the Astros first 5 money line, but I think it was misquoted. Somebody said Astros first 5 money line -125. I believe that's closer to -200, -190. Maybe you were talking about the run line laying the half a run in the first 5. Just wanted to point that out for if there was confusion in the chat. Martin Green, any more soccer for us to cover?
I've been answering lots of different questions. Lots of good picks coming out in the chat. Like the look of Inter Miami and Columbus Crew, both teams scoring over 2.5 goals. I believe that Lionel Messi is expected to start in that game. If he starts, Inter Miami are usually good for at least 2 goals. Columbus Crew, a pretty good team, should also get on the score sheet. Lots of people asking about prop bets for assists and goal scorers and stuff. There's a lot of creative players playing in today's Champions League, such as Antoine Griezmann, Trent Alexander-Arnold, Jamal Musiala. They all look pretty good for an assist. I haven't looked at the odds, but Ademola Lookman, Mohamed Salah are very good forwards who possibly could get on the score sheet if that's the sort of bet that you're looking for. Lots of chat, but nothing else I think that I need to mention right now. The other one was Real Madrid versus Lille. How will that go? I think maybe Real Madrid in under 4.5 goals looks pretty good there. Get odds of about -105 on that.
Okay, love it, Martin Green. Amags, I may come back to you just in case we need to clean up anything else in the chat that you saw, but I do want to answer a question from Kylie Reynolds, since you all saw Henrik Norlander's name quite a bit in the three ball that I have, and of course as a long shot first round leader. Kylie asks, Norlander top 20, do I like it? To be honest with you, I don't. As much as I like Henrik Norlander as value in this matchup and as a potential first round leader, I do have to emphasize these tournaments where the cream of the crop is out of the field and where every style of play is in play. Short hitters, long hitters, accurate, not accurate, playing out of the rough, playing out of the fairway. That type of variance lends itself to me not liking a lot of top 20 plays, because there's so many like people that aren't usually inside the top 20 or even the top 40 that can vault into the top 20 or top 40 in this tournament. So I would actually be careful with the finishing position market. I don't hate the play of Norlander top 20. I would probably prefer it in the top 30 or top 40 if you can get that market at a decent price. But I'd be careful specifically with finishing positions in tournaments like this one, just because of the variance that these tournaments tend to have. And it's part of the reason, taking some long shots in the outright market or taking some long shots in a three ball market might be the play, because that variance isn't necessarily baked in terms of what people can do at the Sanderson Farm specifically. Amags, anything else before we get out of here in a Major League Baseball?
Well, two things. One, somebody shouted out Sniper. They said he had a really awesome day across the shows and article and different picks he had and whatnot. So awesome stuff from him. And then somebody else actually just asked the question. Two things. One, somebody wants to run back Bucket's home run pick. So I don't honestly remember what that was, but whoever that was, they want to run it back.
It was Kyle Tucker and Anthony Santander. Okay. Do you like either of those?
I haven't looked into either of them too deeply, honestly. But if you want, I truthfully am in no position to go against anything Bucket's dice say. So I'm just gonna say, you should bet them. But then one for Martin. Somebody just said, anybody know anything about corner bets? I guess they were asking to bet corners. I don't even know what that is, so I was going to ask you.
Oh, Martin Green.
Oh, yeah, there's all sorts of corner bets that you can take. If the ball goes out on the goal line, if you kick the ball out of past your own goal line, the other team gets a corner. So you can bet over under total corners in a match. You can bet on which team's going to get the most corners. You can bet on corner spreads. You can bet on team totals. There's all sorts of markets at your disposal. And there's plenty of statistics that you can browse to see how many corners teams are normally awarded. And I guess you have to weigh up the relative offensive and defensive strengths of both teams. If there's a team that likes to play quite wide and attacking, they often put a lot of balls into the box. They're likely to win a lot of corners. So you can often bet on those sort of teams on the corner spreads. And if you're just expecting generally an open and entertaining game with lots of chances at both ends of the pitch, then going over on total corners is often a good idea. And if you're expecting quite a tight, dull game, it's often good to bet on under. But shop around, get the best odds, because they can vary quite significantly.
No, very good. Thanks for the education. Thanks for the question in the chat. And speaking of questions, Nikesh asks, how about Lindor today? You might have joined us late. We've mentioned him a few times in this show. So go back and listen to the show and make sure you're subscribed to the podcast on Spotify or Apple. Amags, go ahead.
Real quick, I saw someone mention Ozuna. I believe he had some success off of Musgrove in the past. I don't remember what it was off the top of my head, but I believe I saw that he had some success off him in the past. And then another one. So the number on the Musgrove has been moving around. I got -122 on FanDuel earlier. I had to post -133 on the website, I think, which is where it was to get it up before the show. But truthfully, I probably would have taken it to like -140 and stopped there. It's at -118 or -110. Some say -105. I think after the 12 strikeouts last night, Musgrove's got some really good underlying metrics. I'm just going to bet the over on him. I'm not going to think about it too much. But like I said, half unit, don't go crazy.
All right. I love it. Let's take a look at the recap screen. We'll look at Amags bets, Martin Green's bets, and my bets. I've got a 3-ball tomorrow. Henrik Norlander plus 180 over Maverick McNeely and Martin Laird. That's the Sanderson Farms round 1 3-ball. Martin Green, Monaco, moneyline, minus 140. And Real Sociedad, moneyline, plus the under of 4.5 at minus 105. Prop stars, James Cook, over 57.5 rushing yards at minus 115. Amags, Fernando Tatis Jr., over 1.5 hits, runs, RBIs at even money. And Joe Musgrove, over 5.5 Ks at minus 133. Ladies and gentlemen, I did also notice there's a lot of college football talk toward the latter end of this show. Don't forget, CBS Sports Network today at 1 o'clock. We've got our college football week 6 preview, which of course, Mike McClure will also be on. He's in the chat. He's on that show. He's on HQ. He's everywhere, including with me on Fantasy Football Today, DFS tomorrow at 11 Eastern Standard Time. He's everywhere, and that's a good thing for all viewers and of course, for us at SportsLine. Ladies and gentlemen, what a show. Thank you, Jake the Snake on the 1s and 2s. Thank you, Prop Stars, for getting a James Cook pick in. You can see all his picks at Sportsline. And of course, Amags and the Guru. Appreciate all the participation in the chat. We'll see you tomorrow on the Early Edge, and we'll see you on CBS Sports Network at 1 o'clock for the college football show. This is the Early Edge. We rest our case.